In this lesson, we're going to look at how a pattern that we observe can be placed on a table, and then the table can be used to figure out what the rule is that could predict how the pattern is going to behave in the future. A commonly used example is the construction of pins. We look at, for our first example, making pins that are triangularly shaped. We're going to use 3 pieces of material to build the first one. To build a second pin, we'd add on 2 more pieces of material. For the third, we add 2 more pieces of material. For the fourth, we add 2 pieces of material, and so on. And we can quickly see a very distinct pattern being formed. If you were to look at sort of a homemade, handmade input-output table, we see that for one pin, it took 3 pieces. For the second pin, we were up to a grand total of 5 pieces. For the third pin, we're up to 7, and this pattern continues. Now, what we see, more importantly than just the change in X and the change in Y, is that there's a ratio here. Now, the change in Y, like we've already noted, and we denote that by a delta Y, delta meaning change in, is consistently a 2, as it is here as well. The delta X's are 1, and again another delta X of 1. So what we see here is a ratio being formed. We see that every time the delta Y to delta X ratio is that 2-to-1 ratio, which of course simplifies down to a 2. So that means that our rule, the rule that describes how this table is going to continue, is going to be something of the sort y equal 2x, and we might have a plus or a minus another constant in here somewhere, but the rule definitely has that 2x in it. And our calculator can show this to be true because here's the rule, 2x plus 1 placed in the calculator, and here we see the table. 1 pin, 3 pieces, 2 pins, 5, 3 pins, 7, etc. So what we can actually do is use this rule now to scroll down through our table and go down as far as we want, and say for 20, if we want to make a prediction, for 20 pins, how many pieces of material would we need? Altogether, 41. Now this scrolling up and down is sort of the slow way to do it. We can actually go to the table setup menu and jump straight to any location that we want. If we wanted to look at 30 pins, we could just ask the calculator to start the table at 30. Second function, table, and there we are at the 30th pin. So there's one example of the table helping us create the rule. The only unanswered question is, where did we get that 1? Well, if we look at this table and we follow the pattern back up sort of in the opposite direction, even though as far as an application is concerned it wouldn't make much sense to talk about the 0 pin. If we just follow the pattern though, we see 7 decreasing to 5 to 3 to 1. So that's where the 1 came from, that 0th entry that you won't necessarily show on the table tells what the constant is. So we can erase that question mark now, and we also can erase the minus because we know from the 0th entry on this table that that's where the 1 belongs.